silence and a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now have roll call.
Granquist,
Here.
Lange,
Here.
Merrill,
Here.
Clausen,
Here.
Murin,
Here.
Moaning,
Here.
Faust,
Here.
File.
Here.
I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Let's vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative.
And now a motion for the full agenda.
So move. Second.
Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative.
And now we're going to have a special presentation on the Library Foundation.
Good afternoon, members of the City Council. I'm Jim Curry. I'm here on behalf of the Norfolk Public Library Foundation. There are a few members of the Foundation Board and Library Board here tonight. Possible expansion and renovation of the library is not a new issue. In fact, it's been discussed for many years here in the city. It goes back to the time when Ted Smith was the library director prior to leaving for another job in Oregon in December of 2008. The discussion has continued over the years, but really gained a foothold in the past 2 years. And within the past year, the city has hired the architectural firm of Ali Pointer Macchiato, I believe it's Macchiato, of Omaha to conduct a space needs study, which has been widely reported on since its release earlier this year. After looking at the library itself, along with meetings with many users of the facility, the space needs study determined that our soon-to-be 40-year-old building could use an expansion and renovation. I like to read some of the recommendations that were made from that study. I'm sure you've had a chance to see it, but for the public's benefit, just a few. It included an enhanced area for families, including a separate children's area, away from the front door with its own restroom. This would help with some security issues that could happen, but if we move it away from the front door, a little bit more secure for family and children. It would also call for increased space for preteens and teens to work on school-related projects, a facility that accommodates collaboration through the use of technology, more space for library programs and meetings of community groups, and more parking with updated lighting, and these are just a few of the recommendations that came out of that study. But some of the key numbers really show that our library is still a vital resource to the community, and I want to stress not just Norfolk, but the area as well. Despite the popularity of the internet, e-books, and mobile devices, the Norfolk Public Library is being utilized significantly more than it was 20 years ago. Visits to the Norfolk Public Library are up 35% from 1994, and usage of items is up 45%. Our library is more than a building, it's more than a building where you can go check out a book. It's an inspirational place that encourages reading, offers people opportunities to learn, become informed, inspired. It's a lifeline to everyone inside and outside of Norfolk, and all of its services are free for everyone to use and enjoy. The Norfolk Public Library Foundation and the Library Advisory Board have heard from many people who agree that it's time for an expansion and renovation of our existing library. And the Foundation and the Advisory Board are in support of such an endeavor. Now, one way the Library Foundation felt it could help the city move on in this process and proceed with the possible expansion was to hire a firm to conduct a citizen survey to see what kind of community support there is. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Chris Peterson, founder, president of CP Strategies, LLC, a public affairs and government relations firm based in Lincoln, to present the results of the survey that his firm recently conducted.
Thank you, Jim. Again, my name is Chris Peterson. I'm pleased to be here tonight before you to talk a little bit about a survey that we took at the behest of the Library Foundation in July. I do have a slideshow, about 80 slides, if that's okay. No, actually about 8 slides. I heard some rumblings earlier about keeping the meeting short, so we'll try to help in that regard. As Jim indicated, I was retained to help with a survey of likely voters here in the city of Norfolk. We took the survey July 7th through 12th. We talked to 511 likely voters. It was a representative sample from across the city, meaning that we talked to the appropriate number of Democrats, Republicans, independents, men, women, also by age category, so that our survey results would reflect a likely turnout model for the November general election. And it's also important to note that we talked to people not just on landlines, but also on cell phones, and about a quarter of the survey respondents were on cell phones. As we go through the survey, and you have before you a complete copy of the survey results, as well as a short memo highlighting the top responses or the top outcomes that we gleaned from the survey. But the first question that I want to focus on is, have you heard about plans to renovate and expand the Norfolk Public Library? 77% of the respondents said they had heard about plans to renovate and expand the library, which I think is a very important response, because what that tells me is that the city has done its homework, and the city has been effectively communicating about the needs for a library renovation and expansion, and that's very positive. Second question that I wanted to highlight is, we asked if those who were participating in the survey believe that there should be a renovation expansion, and 71% of respondents said yes, that they believe that there should be a renovation expansion. And so again, very positive that that people are paying attention and have, I believe, heard about the space needs study and or been using the library and noticed that there are improvements needed. We then asked if individuals would vote for a half-cent sales tax to help fund the library expansion and renovation. And you'll see on this slide, altogether, those who are saying yes are about 59%. That's a very positive number. The team that I work with that helped craft this survey and that has worked on other community projects elsewhere around the state, they were surprised to see a number this strong. And so I think that bodes well for community support for a library project along these lines. And you'll see about 34% here said that they would not support a temporary half-cent sales tax increase. The next slide that I'll share with you is based on that prior question, the 59%, 34% results. And you'll see generally across the city, the support was fairly evenly split. Without digging down into the minutia, you'll see that the green dots here represent folks who said that they supported, either strongly or somewhat supported, the temporary sales tax increase. And so again, you're seeing folks from all walks of life being very supportive of the potential temporary sales tax increase for the library improvement and expansion. Then we asked a question with more detail where we took specific things out of the space needs study, and we shared those with the respondents, things like parking, need for more shelving, needs for more technology and computer upgrades. And so we used that space needs study, and after we shared that information, we asked a second time, would you support a temporary sales tax increase? And the support for the project grew to 64% saying that yes, they would support, and about 30% saying no. And so again, very positive that as voters are more educated about the project and the needs at the library, the support for the temporary sales tax increase actually goes up. So it's a very positive sign about community support for the potential ballot issue. Then, as we dig down into the numbers, I wanted to point out a couple of the strongest needs at the library according to the survey. And the strongest need was parking. 69% of respondents said that they were more likely to support the ballot issue because of the parking needs situation. And so obviously people in the community recognize that there is a parking issue at the library today. And then the need for more space specifically for children and teen areas. And then the third one that we highlighted here is the need for more computers and technology at the library to keep up with modern innovation. And so those were three of the top issues that the respondents told us that really resonated with them when it came to the need for the library project. There we go. The public, as we've said, just kind of going over again the top line results, 77% say they're already familiar with the project, which I think really reflects well on the community and the homework already done by community leaders and the fact that people in Norfolk are paying attention to an issue like this. A strong majority of potential voters for the November election support the temporary sales tax increase, and it's by a 25-point margin. That is a really good margin at this point, without anyone having run a campaign, so to speak, about the issue. And so not only are voters paying attention, but they're inclined to support the project. I think the need is there. And then again, after we shared more information about the specific needs, the support for the sales tax increase increased. And finally, just to reemphasize, what the respondents to the survey said were the strongest reasons for supporting the temporary sales tax increase were to address parking, to provide more space for children and teens, and to address the inadequate computer and technology issues that exist at the library today. So, as I said at the outset, wanted to keep the presentation short, just hit on the highlights. More than happy to answer any questions you might have about the survey.
Any questions from the council?
Chris, you said you surveyed a variety or a cross-sample of age groups within the community. Did you find support throughout the different age groups that you tested? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. There was support across all the different demographic groups. I think that this is in the memo that I shared. There are certainly some differences. For example, women voters were much more inclined to be supportive, and men voters less so. And I think as you, if you were to dig into the numbers, you would find, and our analysis certainly proved this out, a household with children more likely to support, individuals between 25 and 44 much more likely to support. And so it reinforced some of those demographic issues that you might expect to find. There weren't necessarily any surprises, but across all the demographic groups, we did find support. It was varying levels, but across the city, the different demographic groups were supportive.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. It was a good presentation. We've had a lot of discussion on this subject, and the survey did look good. So very well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, do you have anything else? All right. Anybody have any questions for Jim? All right. Seeing that that's the last thing on the agenda, we're adjourned.